Alright, welcome again in another tutorial of the topic differentiation. So tunaendelea na curve sketching. I said let me do another example, okay? A little bit different from that in the previous tutorial, curve sketching 1. So that was just curve sketching. This is curve sketching 1. The names of these two respective tutorials. So I'll provide the link of the previous tutorial in the description section below there. So this time curve yetu ni y square is equal to x cube. Tunataka tuichore kwa kutumia method of differentiation. So as usual, let's go to step 1. Step 1 says determine if the curve is symmetrical about either or both axes, okay? So symmetry about the x-axis occurs if the equation contains only even powers. So this is our equation, y square is equal to x cube. Only even powers of y, okay? So we have, tuna y moja tu, y squared, okay? Which is an even power of y. So, this, our curve is symmetrical about the x-axis. Kwa sababu our equation contains only even powers of y. So it is symmetrical about the x-axis. Na kuangalia kama is symmetrical about the y-axis, the equation must contain only even powers of x. Lakini x power 3 is odd number, so it's an odd power of x. So our curve is not symmetrical about the y-axis. Okay, so it means our curve sasa ni symmetrical about the x-axis. Manake nini? Alright? Manake ni kwamba curve yetu itakuwa ya nature hii. Kama hii ni x-axis, okay? Nusu ya curve itakuwa upande huu. Nusu ya curve itakuwa upande huu, okay? This is how our curve is going to turn out to become. So before we draw the curve, tumalize kwanza step zote kwa sababu kila step ni ya angalia. So now let's go to step 2. So step 2 says determine if there is symmetry about the origin. Symmetry about the origin, manake the graph is symmetrical about the origin. So check this, symmetrical about the origin. Manake the origin divides the graph into two halves. So this one was our equation. So symmetry about the origin occurs if a change in sign of x causes a change in sign of y. So let me use x equals to -1 and x equals to 1, okay? If x equals to 1, okay, 1 cube ni 1, y square manake ni 1, okay? So y itakuwa ni plus or minus 1. Alright? Yeah, yani kwamba y itakuwa ni sasa na 1 cube, so, y squared. Kwa hiyo y squared itakuwa ni sasa na 1, so y itakuwa ni sasa na the square root of 1 plus or minus 1. Sasa ikiwa negative je? It's -1 cube, okay? So -1 cube nini? -1. So y is just going to be equal to the square root of -1. So y is just an imaginary number, okay? I. So this one is y is equal to what? I. So you can see that the change in sign in x haijasababisha change in sign in y, okay? Y imekuja kuwa na a very different value, okay? So it means our curve is not symmetrical about the origin. All right. So now that was step 2. So mpaka sasa ambacho tumegundua cha muhimu ni kwamba our curve is symmetrical about the x-axis. Let's go to step 4. So step 4 says seek values of x which make y square negative. Well, tushapata moja ni -1, okay? Tumeona kwamba -1 itasababisha y square sasa na tushaona kwamba x ikiwa -1, y square inakuwa ni -1, y inakuwa imaginary, okay? So you will note that negative numbers zote Nikiweka pia negative 2 hapo, y square ni sasa negative 2 cube, okay? Utaona kwamba y squared itakuwa ni sasa na negative 8. So y squared itakuwa ni sasa na nini? Na I mean y kama y, not y square now again. Y kama y itakuwa ni sasa na the square root of negative 8, which is will also bring imaginary. So I mean my domain kumbe, kwa sababu all negative numbers zinaleta imaginary, my domain it means it should be greater or equal to 0, okay? Kwa sababu nikiweka 0, y itakuwa ni 0. Alright? Nikiweka 0 cube, y squared is equal to 0, y is equal to 0. Okay, so you can see it also passes through the origin. But kwenye step 3 our interest ni hii. Kwa hiyo this is our domain, okay? Manake nini? Manake sasa kwenye zile negative numbers, okay? Tushaona kwamba ina pass through the origin, okay? Tushaona kwamba I mean is symmetrical about the x-axis. So this one if it's a y-axis, tushaona pia kwamba ina pass through the origin mapema kabla hata tujafikia hiyo step, okay? So this one is our y-axis, okay? I mean this one is our x-axis. So I mean kwa hizi negative values of x, yani upande huu, okay? Hakuna value of y. Kwa hiyo graph haipo huko. Kwa graph yetu ambayo ni symmetrical about the x-axis, maana yake itakuja hapa, it passes through the origin, okay? Ndio maana inapita. Maana it will be of this nature, okay? But we are not sure yet until we finish all the steps. Kwa hiyo upande huu sasa the graph haipiti. Ndio lengo la hii step 3, okay? Zile maeneo ambayo y ni imaginary, maana yake graph haipiti. All right? Yeah. Let's go now to step 4. So this one now is step 4. It says find where the curve crosses the axis of coordinates. Manake utafute x-intercept na y-intercept. Okay? So when x equals to 0, napata y-intercept. When y equals to 0, napata x-intercept. Au inaweza pass through the origin. We have already seen this pale chini kidogo. So you can see when x equals to 0, see this one is 0 cube is equal to y squared, y equals to what? To 0. So this graph passes through the origin. Our curve passes through the origin. Okay, so we have realized now our graph is symmetrical about the x-axis. Okay, all negative values of x lead to an imaginary value of y. So our graph does not haipiti kabisa kwenye negative za x. And now we see that our graph passes through the origin, okay? So that is step 4. Step 5 now. So step 5, it says find the values of x, if any, which make y very large. So, I mean, values of x tushajua negative ni majanga, so tutatest to only positive, okay? And the values of y which make x very large. So utaona x ikiwa kubwa ndo y itakuwa kubwa, okay? Lakini you understand kwamba kila value nitakayoweka, hata nikiweka 1,000,000, okay? This is a very large value of x. Manake, okay, nimeweka a 1,000,000, okay? Manake y yangu itakuja kuwa ni plus or minus 1,000,000, okay? You see? Kwa hiyo it is a very large value of x will lead to a very large value of y in the positive direction and in the negative direction. So I mean graph yangu itakuwa kama hivi. Right? Graph yangu itakuwa kama like this one is my y axis. Okay? And then I have my x axis. So this is my x-axis. So I mean very large value of x. Let's say hapa kuna very large value of x, okay? Very large x. Itasababisha very large y na very large y in the positive direction, a very large y in the negative direction. Kwa graph yangu itakuwa hivi, you see. So kwa sababu ya hii nini plus or minus. So that is another observation, okay? Kwa hiyo kwenye very large value of x graph yangu itaanzia juu sana na chini sana, alafu maki itashuka mpaka ikute kwenye origin, symmetrical about the x axis. So that is step 5. So next is step 6 now. So step 6, it says that if the curve passes through the origin, which you have seen, yes, the curve passed through the origin. Sasa we want to test its behavior in the neighborhood, okay? Karibu na origin pale itakuwa na tabia gani, okay? So how are we going to figure that one out? We have to study the ratio y over x, okay? If the ratio is small, near the origin, okay? Then the curve is very close to the x-axis near the origin. If the ratio y over x is almost equal to 1, then the curve bisects the angle between the x-axis. But if the ratio is large near the x-axis, near the origin, then the curve is close to the y-axis. So what ratio? Ratio y over x. So this one was our equation, y squared equals to x cubed. You can see this is just y squared is equal to x squared over x. So this one is just y squared over x squared equals to what? To x. So this is our ratio y over x squared is equal to x. Okay? So I mean, this our ratio y over x is just this one, okay? The square root of x. So near the origin, manake x equal karibu na 0, okay? So let's say x equals to 0.5. So it means y over x itakuwa ni square root ya 0.5 ambayo ni ndogo sana. You see 0. I don't know what. So kumbe our ratio near the x-axis is small. Okay? Our ratio near the x-axis is small. So this ratio y over x near the x-axis is small. Near the origin, I mean, not the x-axis. So sorry, near the origin is small. So what does this mean? This means that the curve keeps close to the x-axis. Manake nini sasa? Okay? Manake ni hii. Manake ni kwamba if this now is our y-axis, okay, this one is our y-axis. So if this is our y-axis, and then we have our x-axis, like here. So this one is our what? Is our x-axis. So tushajua kwamba curve yetu inaanzia huku juu mpaka ifike kwenye origin, okay? Symmetrical about the x-axis, okay? So hapa near sasa the x-axis, curve yetu itakuwa manake close, I mean near the origin, curve yetu itakuwa close to the x-axis. Manake itakuwa kama hivi afu ndo yani itashika we afu ndo baadaye itarefuka. Kwa hiyo itashika we karibu na x-axis afu baadaye ndo itafanyaje? Itarefuka kama hivi, see? So near the origin our curve will be like it passes through the origin, all right? Our curve it will be near the what? Near the x-axis, okay? I really hope I think nitakuwa nimekosea kwenye kuzungumza, but the point is when the ratio y over x is small near the origin, the curve keeps close to the x-axis. Naona hii curve imebanana na x-axis. Nitachora graph vizuri mwishoni, you shall see it. So that was step 6. Now step 7 now. Okay, so let's find the turning points and point of inflection, if any. So to find the turning points, we just need to find dy dx and then equate it to 0, okay? So this one was our equation. So it's an implicit function, okay? So nitaisolve vile, hii itakuwa ni 2y. Angalia tutorial inaitwa differentiation of implicit functions nimeitengeneza. It's just going to be 3x squared, okay? So dy dx is just going to be equal to 3x squared over 2y, okay? So dy dx itakuwa ni sawa na 3x squared 2, y ni x cube, okay? So it's going to be 3 over 2x. So this is my dy dx. So my dy dx is 3 over 2x. So I have to put dy dx now is equal to 0 to find the turning point. 3 over 2x equals to 0. So 3 cross and multiply. So there are no turning points, okay? There are no turning points, okay? Manake hii haina maximum, wala minimum value, wala point of inflection. So our curve will have no maximum value. Hakuna maximum value. It also will have no minimum value. And last but not least, it will have no points of inflection. Hazipo, zote hazipo. So information tulionao ile sasa ndio inatutosha sisi kuchora nini? Kuchora graph yetu. So graph yetu finally itakuwaje? Itakuwa hivi, okay? So we are going to have our y-axis. Okay, so this one is our y-axis. And then we're going to have our x-axis. So this one is our what? Is our x-axis. So it passes through the origin and symmetrical about the x-axis. So iko hivi. So and up near the origin, it keeps close to the x-axis, okay? Kwa hiyo it passes through there and then kama hivyo, it is symmetrical about the x-axis. Kwa hiyo upande wa chini na upande wa juu inabidi ziwe nini? Ziwe sawa. So it's like this, na kuendelea. So this now is our graph y squared is equal to what? X cube. So you can compare hii video tutorial curve sketching 1 na ile video tutorial curve sketching 2 no number. Then you can learn how to draw these curves using the concept of differentiation. Let me just say see you in the next tutorial.